Alright, I've been feeling blocked on this channel lately, and it's not really a creative block or a motivational block. It's really a perfection avoidance kind of block that I'm very familiar with. What I see as a solution to problems with video games, with the new video games, and with the old video games is really beyond my scope of development right now. I think we need a better solution for playing the old games, but I'm putting that aside for the moment and moving on with some other things in life and things for this channel. For the past few years, I've been mostly focusing on video games for this channel, different guides and showcasing different classic games. And we're going to add to that war games. So we're talking about tabletop war games here. We're talking about building model figures and constructing armies on paper, putting the figures on a table, and playing a game with dice and measurements against other people. It's tabletop wargaming. I've been a fan of Warhammer 40,000 for a while, big fan, but there's some problems there that are really beyond the scope of what we need to go into now. But, well, among the problems there, the market business model there is shifting to a more rapid turnover of the product, kind of like Magic the Gathering was, where cards are constantly going out of rotation. That's really what they're looking for with the models there, and really what we need with this hobby is something where you can build models and just play a game. There's way too complicated of a rule and business model going on with that other game, so we need something much more simple and more interesting. So we're looking at historical minis here. We're looking at Lion Rampant. This is for medieval wargaming. There was originally a first edition published with Osprey Games. And this guy has made several games with Osprey Games. The Dux Bellorum was his earlier title. And then with the success of Lion Rampant, he's remade these into Dragon Rampant, which focuses on more fantasy rules, using your fantasy miniatures. There is fantasy rules included with Lion Rampant, but it's pretty simplistic, just using your ranged units for your magic units and such things. So Dragon Rampant really flushes out those fantasy rules and gives you more fantasy type figures to play with there. He's made some other historical games covering some other historical periods. The Pikeman's Lament, covering Pike and Shot era. The Many Would Be Kings, covering colonial wargaming. Rebels and Patriots for colonial North America. And then Xenos Rampant, which is science fiction wargaming. So we may go into that in the future, converting some of my 40k armies over to Xenos Rampant armies and playing it out that way. But right now I'm looking to take more of a distance from 40k. And so we're going to go to the historical. But the Xenos Rampant is really interesting as well. Definitely worth checking out if that's more interesting to you right now. They have several kind of scenarios here. Not just scenarios, but settings. Like zombie apocalypse and post-apocalyptic worlds and space opera type stuff. And several different science fiction settings there. So really just a toolbox that you can build your games on top of, and that's really what Lion Rampant is as well. It's more of a toolbox to build out your rules there. So picked up that second edition hardcover here. Spent some time going over this and looking at that, thinking about what we can do with the armies and stuff, and we'll get more into the rules, I guess, when we put up a video of playing. But for now, we're just going to talk about the hobby side of it. So, Wargames Atlantic is a really interesting company based here in the United States. They have this new set here that I've pre-ordered, just waiting on that to show up, of Foot Knights, covering this medieval period here. Really cool looking models here. These will be really fun, I think, and pretty easy to paint. For me, I enjoy the modeling. Building the models is a lot of fun. I enjoy constructing the armies and theory crafting the game. Min-maxing to some degree, even though some people hate that aspect of it. That's really an appealing aspect of army building and playing the game in general. There's also painting. Painting is not my favorite part of it at all. That's my least favorite part. I don't really enjoy painting it. I find it kind of tedious. So we'll be looking at really simplistic, easy paint schemes with a minimum number of paints here, but really maximizing the visual impact on the table, making it look good, making it pop. And even these paint schemes here that I'm looking at here, some of these highlightings and stuff like that are really nice. But we'll see how close we can get to something similar to this effect, getting these on the table. I do have their set of Gothic Warriors here. So we'll take a look at this. These sets go $35, and then you can get deals when you buy multiple of the boxes. And then these boxes, this will get me 30 figures in this box. And I think we're looking at the 24 here on the knights here. I should mention also going into Lion Rampant and these games. So let's talk about list building for a second here. So these type of games, if you're not familiar with it at all, I compare it kind of to Magic the Gathering if you're more familiar with that, where each person is constructing their own deck beforehand and then showing up with that deck optimized for their strategies and plans that they'll be going for there. And it's the same kind of thing in a tabletop war game, where each person's going to build their list, their army, and then bring that to the table, and it'll be their strategies optimized for that army. Really trying to leverage some imbalances and win the game there through the strategy and tactics. And there's a little bit of luck on the dice. But that's the big picture there, talking about building an army there. And then specifically for Lions Rampant, our typical army is going to be 24 points, and then our units range from 1 to 6 or more points per unit. Units are comprised of either 6 or 12 models, depending on what type of unit it is. There's some elite foot infantry there that are 6 to a unit, and that's probably what I'll do with these foot knights. So this will get me 4 of those units, and those are 6 points each, so that's actually a full 24-point army out of this one box. It wouldn't be the most interesting army to play, but actually it can be interesting to play these monolithic all elite knights armies. But for a more variety, you'll want 2 or 3 kits to build out some archers or ranged units, and then some cavalry for some flanks and some fast-moving units like that. That's typically what you're going to build out your army in Lions Rampant. So some foot units, some archers, and some horsemen. And so out of this 30 guys here, I can get 2 units of 12 guys, and then a unit of 6. There's skirmishers. Skirmishers, I think, are 2 points on the army list, and there's six dudes in a unit. So what you want to do is just find something that's interesting to you and build that out. Here's the bring up our Gothic Warriors here. This is what I got here in hand here. And then I got some Victrix miniatures here as well. We'll look at those too. Let's get into this here and see what these look like on the sprue here. So in this box here, to make my 30 guys, we have 6 sprues. And all of these are going to be identical. So they all look like this. We'll get a better view right here, I think. So this is our sprue here. each one of these sprues will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. I have 6 sprues, so that's my 30 guys. You see we have some heads. For example, here we have 6 with helmets and 6 without. So that's even more than I need, really, to have everybody either wearing helmets or without. I got some extra stuff in there for variety. That's what these kits really, the fun of it in the building is. It's not just your plastic green army men there that are all already made for you, but rather you're building out, and you put your arms and whatever weapons you want out of these. So I can make units of 12. I could put 12 archers out of this. I could put 12 spearmen or swordsmen. And I think I can get my 6 slingers out of this too for my skirmishers. So that is how this works. Let's talk about... let's compare it here to the Victrix models here. I got some of these as well. They have some armored warriors as well, just out. These look pretty cool as well. I might check these out as well. I got a couple of kits from Victrix here. We got their Dark Age archers and slingers. So these, you see the different packaging? These come in a plastic bag, but it's a very similar thing here. So in this case, we have the instructions to build it on the back here, showing which pieces can go to which guys, and they're all labeled on the sprue there. So it's pretty straightforward. You just look for the pieces that you're looking for and clip them. So here we have 5 sprues here in this kit to make our 30 guys here. And again, they're all the same. We'll look at this sprue here. Again, I don't know how well that'll show up on this camera here. I don't know that we can see it here. Before a reference here, we're looking at these. I got some calvary as well. Take a quick look at those as well. So this is what we're building here out of these. And the calvary, we got some similar things here. And also some from Victrix. Picked up some bases. Some of these guys will need bases. So I got some of those. And the square ones for the horses. So let's talk about how these models go together. Let's maybe build one of these Victrix ones right here. Looking at the instructions here, we'll see how this goes together. So here, just reading off our instructions here. Archer 1 parts, B1 is for body, and then I can use A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, or A6 as arms. And that's all is that, and then any head. H1 to H19. So I got 19 heads on here. So these Victrix ones, these were 5 sprues here, and they make 6 guys per sprue. They come no arms or heads on these, but with the legs already attached, which I kind of like. It's nice to have some customizability, but it can get really tedious with attaching every limb here. So let's talk about what tools we use for building these. So the first thing you'll need is a pair of clippers. So these are flat edge clippers. So they're not scissors. Scissors overlap when they cut, and they're cutting with both sides. These are flat faced, so they cut different than scissors, if that makes sense. So these are clippers. There's also single blade clippers, which is more of a flat edge, and then you have one sharp edge slicing over it, more like a paper cutter. You can get those like the two. Some people prefer those with the one edge cutting, but these are both edge cutting. You can get cheap clippers for like $7-8, but they will eventually break, and then you'll buy nicer clippers, and you'll wonder why you didn't buy nicer clippers to begin with. So nice clippers are nice to have. So let's start this guy out. B1 for body here. That'll be this one right here. So I just put the flat edge of my clippers up to points where I want to cut it out of the sprue there, and I cut out my guy here. So next you want a file. There's going to be some clipping marks where we cut out from the frame there that we're going to want to file down, and then there's sometimes mold lines down where the two halves of the mold, when they make this piece, where they separate there, can sometimes leave a fine line there, which we can remove pretty easily with the scraper or a file. So I've been using this razor glass file, and I love it. I've never seen anyone else in Wargaming use this, so this is a hot tip for the Wargamers. I got this from the what are these things even called? The mine's blanking on these. Anyways, the robot mechs. These kits are also very fun to build. I like these because you don't have to paint them. Gundams, sorry. Yeah, my brain was blanking on that. So from the Gundams, they use these glass files for cutting down that kind of plastic because you want a nicer finish on it because they're not typically painting those. But typically in Wargaming, people will use these metal files. You can get these metal files. They're fine, but they risk cutting the plastic and leaving a scrape and damaging too easily, whereas you don't have that problem with the metal files. These also won't leave a burn on the plastic, but that's not a problem with our Wargaming because we're going to paint them anyways. So we don't care if it burns or leaves a mark. We just care that it makes it smooth. So you want a file or a scraper. I do use a scraper. I don't think I have it right here. I use a citadel scraper, but you can get a cheap one of those as well. But I've really just been using this file. I really like the glass file. Just smooth it out. The only place it isn't good for is like getting in some of these finer areas, but a scraper will have that same problem. So we'll just take off these mold lines off his legs here, so it's not so obvious. And that's all there is to this piece here. Flatten up the bottom because I'm not sure how that's going to go on yet. And then we want some arms here. We want A1, A2. So we just look for those pieces here. We'll do this guy up as an archer, I think. So, oh, that'll be cool. We got a arrow here. In the left hand. No. You gotta be careful about this because acoustic people will call you out on it. This is a right hand. You can tell where the thumb is, so I want a left hand for the other side. So let's see what A2 looks like. Oh, that'll look good. We'll go with A6 here. So the particular kit here, definitely not important. Even the historical era, there's just so much available. Just go for whatever's interesting to you. I think I'm going to be doing some Norman army here. Maybe some Romans. Maybe some Gauls. Stuff like that. File down this bow here where I just cut it. And in his other hand here will be the arrow. I'm not sure yet if it'll be pulling out of his pocket or going into the bow. I don't even see where I cut this. This already looks pretty good. If you get nice clippers, you barely have to file those edges off there. But this is kind of the part of it I enjoy. I'm sure it's making really boring content watching me file this down, but it's just so chill. You just You know, you put a movie on, sit there filing. Better than flipping through your phone, I'll tell you what. Alright, so we got those arms, and I think that's... Oh, we need a head. So any of these heads will do. Let's take this first one, and he looks pretty dope. I think it's a 19 head option. Yeah, 19 head options. So in a full set of 30 guys, I got to redo some of them, but whatever. You just paint them up a bit different, pose them a bit different, and that's where is this? This dude's got a wicked beard. All right, so I filed down all my pieces there. I think I will want one of these bigger bases for this guy, but we'll see. Oh no. It's a real hazard here. You gotta be careful where you're working. Alright. I found it. Crisis averted. Alright, now we're gonna glue. So, for glue, I use plastic glue. We got some Citadel plastic glue here, but whatever works for you. I would definitely go for some modeling stuff. There's different viscosities that you can get. You know, the thicker stuff's a little easier to apply. Thinner stuff will let you get into crevices and stuff a lot easier. It's a lot like super glue. And you can use super glue. Super glue, most of us are a little more comfortable working with. We've used it before for stick and other things, but it's a big pain to work with, honestly. You stick your fingers together and all that, just inevitably. Plastic glue can be a bit of a pain here. This little tubey thing gets clogged up. Hit it with a lighter here. Make sure you don't explode. Let's see if we can get this. And you want to use the blue paper towels, because this will melt the white ones. I think I have some glue here. Let's see. Maybe I'll need to go get a new one. As I was saying, the super glue, you can adjust for a second, but then it's got to be set, and you can't ever move it, but it is possible to dissolve it. Whereas this, you have more of a time to adjust it and get it not flowing on my glue. You can adjust the with the plastic glue. There we go. But then after a few minutes there, it'll set, and it'll really be one piece of plastic there. You won't ever be able to break it there. If it falls and breaks, you probably break it somewhere else, even not on that joint. So there's advantages and disadvantages there. But overall, I'd recommend venturing into plastic glue and using that. Is this in his back pocket? Yeah, we'll have him. Maybe reaching back here. I think we might even have some quivers or something we can clip on there. Yeah, we got some quivers there. Yeah, so I'll have him reaching back here behind him for a quiver. Or maybe we can get it lined up with the arrow like he's throwing it. Yeah. It's too far there. Yeah, he's got to be reaching for it in his quiver here. Yeah, let's do it reaching behind his back here. That'll look good. Just a few more seconds here to be able to adjust. Point his head down a bit. It's looking good, I think. And there we go. final adjustments here. And that's it. So we got one of our dudes built. Got about 50 more dudes to build here for an army. And then we'll move on to painting. So what else might we need here? So there's some green stuff, which is like these two colors of putty that you squeeze together and it makes green stuff, and then it'll harden. And that can be useful for filling in gaps or even constructing other little items and stuff you want on your model if you're creative. So then you get little tools for working with that, look like little dental tools that make working with green stuff easy. So then once you have everything together and built and ready to be painted, we start with a spray paint. Spray paint these models down. And I'll probably do another complete video on painting. But for now, we'll just cover some of the more tools and stuff like that that's used there. I use these brushes from Walmart. This brush value pack is like $6 or something like that for like 30 brushes. And I don't use everything in that pack, but some of those brushes are really perfect for what I'm looking for. And I've used some more expensive brushes, and I don't really see any difference at all to me. But like I've said, I'm not that strong of a painter, and I'm not that passionate of a painter. So if you get really into painting, maybe you'll find you want some of these nicer brushes made of different materials. But I really just like these cheap Walmart brushes, and that's what I use. I do like this Citadel water container. You can use like a red Solo cup or whatever you want for your paint water, but you're risking really tipping it over. So this is really tip proof, and then it's got little ribs and stuff in there. So I really do like that tool there. It's kind of perfect. And then we hit it with a spray paint varnish, and we'll do some of this grass type stuff there. So there's other modeling supplies you can get. This is Army Painter grass, little like sawdust stuff you can put on there, and we'll put like white glue on there with that. And like I said, I think we'll do a whole nother video. So I think what I'll do is I'll wrap this up here, build this army over the next couple weeks or whatever in my spare time as I please. And then once we're ready to move on to the painting, we'll do another video there covering how I paint and get everything finalized for the board. And then when we're ready to play there, we'll do another video showing gameplay on this tabletop. So let me know down below in the comments, if you're still watching, what you think about this video and about the wargaming, what questions you have. I'd be happy to answer any questions you got about the hobby or about Lion Rampant in particular as a game, or how it compares to the other big games, or anything that was missed or confusing in this here. I hope this is a nice little overview of the game and the hobby. So thanks for joining me here, and hope we'll see some more videos like this. Thanks.